Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your weekends to be with us here today. Sorry, tongue-tied. It's really a pleasure to have you all with us on this beautiful Sunday morning. I'm sure that you all noticed how Penang put on a show for us as we got off the train this morning. All right. Firstly, thank you to our esteemed panelists for agreeing to share their experience and knowledge with us today on all things Penang Hill. And last but not least, thank you to the organizers, Penang Hill Corporation, Datuk Chok and team, Kim, May, Shuyan, and Cheryl, who's here with us already, for providing us with this wonderful platform, Penang Hill Festival 2026, to discuss today's topic, Penang Hill in Focus, Conservation Challenges and Achievements, Preserving the Past While Preparing for the Future. This topic is especially timely as Penang Hill is currently undergoing some major changes in the form of the development of the Penang Hill cable car, as well as the redevelopment of the Astaka Bukit Bendera. As we embark on the process of modernizing our tourism and transportation infrastructure. Good morning, Dato'. Good morning, Dato'. Dato' Chok's here. As we embark on the process of modernizing our tourism and transportation infrastructure on the hill, it is important that we strive to preserve and indeed conserve the characteristics that make Penang Hill unique and special, and not just another tourist hotspot or destination in Malaysia and the wider ASEAN region. Today, we have with us a number of key people who have been involved in shaping the built environment of Penang Hill and who have hands-on experience in preserving and conserving the hill's natural and built heritage. Firstly, we have Puan Lingishwari Baskaran, who is the Division Manager of Project Planning and Development, PPD, at Penang Hill Corporation, where she has served since 2011, since the inception of the organization. From the inception of PHC, she has played an integral role in shaping the transformation of Penang Hill through strategic planning and the implementation of key development and sustainable development initiatives. Today, Lingish will be speaking to us about the legal and regulatory framework that has been put in place to conserve and protect the hill and its natural and built heritage. She will also walk us through the role of her department, PPD, in overseeing the governance and implementation of the conservation framework on the hill. Thank you, Lingish.
Thank you, Mr. Allen, for the brief intro about me. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lingish from Project Planning and Management Division. We'll be doing my sharing on the journey, or I would say the transformation of Penang Hill since 2011 with the title Conservation at Penang Hill, Planning, Achievements and Challenges. Before I go further, I would like to thank Datuk Chok, PHC Management and Penang Hill Festival Organizing Committee for giving me this opportunity. Okay, next. Okay, my presentation content will be follows: why Penang Hill matters, how planning guides the conservation, why upgrades are needed, how projects are delivered sustainably, and why collaboration is essential, and what are the outcomes. Okay, before we talk, next please, thank you. Before we talk about conservation and sustainable development, it is important to understand what makes Penang Hill such a unique and significant place. Penang Hill is Malaysia's oldest hill station with a history dating back to late 18th century. During the British colonial period, it was developed at a retreat from the tropical heat of Georgetown because of its cooler climate. Over time, the hill evolved into a vibrant landscape comprising colonial bungalows, recreational facilities, places of worship, and one of the oldest funicular railway system which has been operating since 1923. Today, Penang Hill is part of Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve, which is recognized under UNESCO's Man and Biosphere Program in 2021. It is a home to exceptional biodiversity, serving as an important ecological refugee and also water catchment area for Penang Island. At the same time, it remains as one of the state's premier tourism destination, welcoming almost 200 visitors annually. What makes Penang Hill truly unique is the harmonious coexistence of nature, heritage, community, and tourism within a single living landscape. This presents both tremendous opportunities and also significant challenges for us. So, as a planner, our role here is to ensure the development enhances rather than compromises these outstanding values. This is why conservation is the heart of every planning and development decision we make at Penang Hill. Next. When we talk about conservation, many people immediately think about forests and wildlife. However, at Penang Hill, conservation is much broader. It encompasses protecting our biodiversity, preserving our rich heritage, safeguarding our vital water catchments, maintaining the landscape, promoting sustainable tourism, and also ensuring the well-being of the community who live, work, and also who visits here. From PHC, our responsibility is to balance all these elements so the development actually enhances rather than degrade the unique value of Penang Hill. Next, development at Penang Hill does not happen in isolation. Every project is actually guided by a hierarchy of planning policies from international commitments such as the Sustainable Development Goals, UNESCO principles to national and state planning framework. These are translated into site-specific guiding through the Penang Hill Special Area Plan and the Summit Area Concept Master Plan. Together, they actually establish the planning principles and development guidelines that ensure projects protect the biodiversity, conserve heritage, enhance visitors' experiences, and support sustainable development. Next, before I share the projects and achievements at Penang Hill, I would like to briefly explain the role of Project Planning and Development Division with Penang Hill Corporation within Penang Hill Corporation. Our division is actually responsible for ensuring that every development initiative aligns with the long-term vision of Penang Hill. We do not simply implement projects. We plan, evaluate, coordinate, and oversee developments to ensure they are sustainable, practical, and sensitive to the unique environment and heritage values of the hill. Our responsibilities begins with we will identify what is the issues and also how we plan for it and what we have to be done. Our engineers also oversees the infrastructure development, delivering essential facilities such as the roads, public amenities, utilities, tourism infrastructure, visitors facilities, and also that enhance the accessibility and the overall visitors experience on the hill. Environmental management is another key responsibilities that Penang Hill works on. This includes conducting environmental audit, implementing mitigation measures, and also managing slope stability, erosion control of the hill. Heritage conservation is also equally important. We lead the restoration and adaptive reuse of heritage bungalows, ensuring these valuable assets are preserved while remaining the relevant and functional for future generation. Next. Penang Hill Special Area Plan is more than a land use plan. It is a primary planning instrument that guides the future of Penang Hill. It integrates international, national, and also state planning policy into site-specific guidelines. So through SAP, we regulate the development and also protect the biodiversity heritage assets, manage the land use, and also ensure that every project contributes to the long-term sustainability and resilience of Penang Hill. The SAP actually prepared under the Section 16B, Town and Country Planning Act 1976. Initially, it was started with local plan Bukit Mendera, which was gazetted in April 1999. Then this local plan was replaced with Penang Hill Special Area Plan, gazetted in September 2016. And latest now, we have the replacement, Penang Hill Special Area Plan 2020 till 2030, which is currently at the final lap for gazettement. In targeting by August, it will be settled. Next. So this actually shows the planning guidelines of Penang Hill, where in the local plan, the area is actually about 464 and 1 hectare. But in 2016, there is a slight increase to 468.38 hectares. But in the replacement SAP, the area has been increased to 742.51 hectares to cater the bigger part of Bukit Kerajaan Forest Reserve, the Heritage Monet Trail, and also Jeep Track. Next. As part of SAP 2016, Penang Hill Design Review Panel was introduced. It is a multidisciplinary governance mechanism established under the SAP, and its role is to review the development and also infrastructure proposals to ensure they actually comply to the planning guidelines and uphold the aspiration of Penang Hill. By bringing together planners, architects, engineers, environmental specialists, government agencies, and other stakeholders, DRP provides independent technical advice that helps achieve high quality sustainable development while safeguarding the hill's biodiversity, heritage, and also landscape values. So this DRP being chaired by Datu Chok, and the secretary for this DRP is PHC. So next. So PHC have actually carried out one of the exercise being suggested in the SAP 2020 to have a summit area concept master plan, which was done in 2022. So the plan actually translates the vision of Penang Hill Special Area Plan into practical development framework. Rather than treating the summit as a single area, it actually organized into distinct precincts where we have 4 precincts, and each of it has a role and character on its own. This precinct based approach allows us to conserve heritage assets, enhance the public assets spaces, improvise the visitors' movement, and introduce appropriate facilities while ensuring the development respects the unique landscape and identity of Penang Hill. It provides a clear roadmap for future projects that balances the conservation with sustainable tourism and community needs. Next. This infograph actually shows the overall transformation of Penang Hill over the past 15 years since 2011 that made possible through strong commitment and continuous allocation support by Penang State Government. Since 2011, it is actually we received more than 113 million up to 2025 to improvise the infrastructure, enhance visitors' facilities, and also strengthen the resilience of Penang Hill. This investment were not merely about constructing new facilities, but is about ensuring the development supports conservation while preserving the unique character of the hill. The key initiatives were including the phases of upgrading of the station, lower station and upper station, improvements of road and pedestrian, including bypass, extensive slope works, especially following the 2017 storm, drainage upgrades, landscape enhancement. These projects are collectively to improve the safety, accessibility, operational efficiency, and overall visitors' experience. And in 2016, we have been allocated RM 14 million for redevelopment of Penang Hill Astaka. This project has been implemented in 3 phases, where initially we prepared a temporary Astaka for the existing hawkers to move on. Then subsequently, we carry on the demolition works, which was completed in March 2025. Then currently, the main building is in under construction, which is about 30% at site presently. And this project is expected to complete by April 2027. Next. Okay, this shows the first project that PHC embarked on for upgrading of station involves the retractable roof at lower station, and also part of it we actually did the L walk at upper station. So this combines the phase 1, we call it phase 1, and also phase 3 of the project, which is the overall upgrading of lower station. So the new station actually incorporates thoughtful and also functional design that features the to improve crowd management, visitors circulation, and also operational efficiency. We have introduced more commercial lots at the lower station, so people can spend their time at these commercial lots while waiting for their turn to board on the train. So actually, the lower station is now more than a transport hub. It is the first impression of Penang Hill, setting the tone for visitors' experience is accessible, sustainable, and also memorable. Next. So this is the redevelopment of upper station. is actually an excellent example of our conservation-led planning approach, where the project actually achieved GBI Platinum certificate in June, reflecting our commitment to sustainable and environmental responsible development. While introducing modern facilities, we carefully preserve the original station facade to maintain its historical character. The surrounding landscape was designed to blend seamlessly with the natural forest, while the new features such as the sky bridge, viewing decks, and also shaded public spaces enhance the visitors' experience. Next. Okay, this shows Waidak area. So after the 2017 November incident, our focus was also on the recovery. So PHC strategized risk recovery processes with 3R. The 3R actually stands for restoration, rehabilitation, and rebuilding. Those slopes were zoned into critical, based on their critical and hazard risk and also hazard factors. And based on that, we determine the appropriate action to be taken at each hotspot. So certain slope we were planted vetiver grass to cover the area and also acts as a erosion control. Certain slopes in forest we let it rehabilitate on its own. For upslope and also downslope of building roads, and also etc. We actually stabilize using soil nailing, grid beams, and also planting to maintain the area as green as possible and to avoid gynating completely, because we don't want a concrete jungle. So we rebuilt the section of road that were damaged as part of Viaduct Road. You can see, sorry, these areas, all these roads were rebuilt by us after the incident. So this shows one of the major landslide at Viaduct, where the whole stretch is about 1 kilometer from Woodside Bungalow at Upper Tunnel Road. It actually ends till Claremont area. So the picture on the left, you can see actually shows the actual damage happened. So the actual exercise was carried in phases. Initially, we mobilized in contractors to do the clearing of the area as an immediate action. Then subsequently, we do stabilization through design and build approach instead of the conventional way to expedite the whole process. State continuously supported us with the budget allocation for us to materialize the overall restoration. Because our approach to retain greenery, some may not actually notice the landslide scar at the area if you visit these spots. Next. This at Hill Station, Middle Station, where there were, if you notice the picture on the right, you can see there were tons of soils, boulders to be removed from the track. We get contractors on board to clear the trees, boulders, and soils, and also for repair works of the track. The hill community came together to clear this area, performing a human change to get the work done in an easier manner. Then what PHC did was PHC did the gun-nighting work to stabilize the erosion first, and then the works were carried out in 24/7 to ensure the area is safe when funicular starts operation by end of 2017. The further strengthening work was done later in 2018. Next. This shows the area slope stabilization done behind the mosque and temple area. If you all remember, this is the area that was the star highlighted after the landslide happened, showing a massive landslide scar. During the landslide, the building foundation has been exposed. So our immediate action was we strengthened the foundation of the area, and subsequently we did slope stabilization of these places. Next. Okay, this shows Upper Tunnel Road condition after the stabilization done. At Upper Tunnel Road, total of 38 spots was affected. One of it started from the KBB bungalow, and it ended at White House at Viaduct Road. So that is actually another long stretch of landslide happened. In the picture, it shows on the left hand side, it actually shows the boulder at Bypass C, which had to be blasted because of this size. You can actually see from the picture the comparison between the backhoe and the boulder. What will be the size like? Okay, next. This shows the stabilization works done surrounding at Edgecliff Bungalow. The bungalow stood steady, but the impact was at the surrounding area. So proper network of drainage was built to ensure surface runoff channeled properly. Next. Okay, this is one of our innovation project where the existing communal septic tank built during the colonial era, connecting to the key building and quarters area, which is known as the CST A, B, and C, situated at JKR Valley, B at Kuli Lines, and C at Upper Tunnel. And C, for your information, C has the smallest capacity, and it only serves the upper station and KBB bungalow. Actually what happened is the old structure started to give way and cause leaking. And we approached IWK and also consultant to give us a proposal to resolve these matters. However, both parties come back with a solution that actually will cost us about 6 to 7 million. And their proposal is to have a centralized plan. And for us to have a centralized plan on Penang Hill means it involves massive earthwork and impossible to have all piping from different valleys to connect to a single place. Therefore, PHC did was to have a hybrid system, which the existing system was incorporated with BioCube, a Denmark product that enables CST to increase the capacity by 100 PE each, and also allows also which this with this increase it allow for future development as well. Since it is a hybrid system, we have applied to SPAN for product certification, and we are in a final stage. I would say we are going for our pre-approval, then presentation will be done for approval. Next. So Hillside Bungalow was PHC's first heritage bungalow adaptive reuse project. PHC did a minimal restoration to the bungalow. Then we get private party to refurbish and operate this as a family lodge and also campsite. It started operation since early 2021. Next. So our second adaptive reuse project was Edgecliff Bungalow, which is a heritage bungalow category 2 built in 1937. This bungalow was repurposed into a gallery highlighting 5 themes. We have the history of Penang Hill, biodiversity, heritage, buildings, funicular and cultural, and also the community of Bukit Mendera. The gallery was launched in July 2022, and till date is almost about 60,000 visitors have visited this gallery. Importantly, this building also achieved Green Building Index certified under the Historic Building Tool, demonstrating that heritage conservation and sustainable building practices can be successfully integrated. Next. As part of our commitment to sustainability and climate action, PHC also progressively invested in renewable energy through the installation of solar panels. We have solar panels at our Edgecliff. That was our first project, followed by first phase as lower station in 2023, then upper station 24. Upper station is our biggest area of solar panels we have. 340 panels in total. Then stage 2, again, we go back to lower station at stage 2, which was completed in December 2024. Next, besides solar panels, we do have water harvest system being implemented at our certain areas such as Upper Station, Edgecliff, and also Palawan Nursery. This harvest rainwater is always be used for landscape irrigation. Okay, here comes our strategic project. State strategic project, which is the Penang Hill Cable Car. So initially, we've been applying for budgets under RMK, but unfortunately, when we did not get budget, so state decided to go this project by PPP. So PHC were given mandate to call for, we did the pre-feasibility study for this project. Then subsequently, we were given the mandate to call for the RFP. The RFP was called in November 2021, and then it was concluded in 2022. So the concessionaire who got this project was Harta Suma Sdn Bhd. So this project is actually provides an alternative mode of transport that will help distribute the visitors' traffic, reduce congestion during peak hour periods, and also to enhance the emergency accessibility to the hill. At the same time, it also creates a new gateway through the Penang Botanic Gardens precinct, revitalizing the area and strengthening its role as an important tourism and recreational destination. Throughout the planning and design process, considerably emphasized on the placed on minimizing environmental impacts and integrating the development with surrounding natural landscape. Next. So this actually shows the overall component that this project has. We have the, okay, for your information, this side is Botanical Garden. That actually shows the Penang Hill area. So where there will be a multi-story car park with 700 parking bays. We'll have a bus parking with 12 bays. The lower station will start where the present Rifle Club is adjacent to that. And then we have a turning loop, which is near the viaduct area. And then the hill station actually ends behind police station. The length of this alignment is about 2.77 km. There are about 15 towers along this alignment. The gondolas will be a 8-seater capacity with a travel time less than 10 minutes. So the technology partner that Hartosma working on is Doppelmayr, and the current progress is about 30% also. They have actually completed the substructure works, and the expected completion of this project is in August 2027. Next. Okay, the redevelopment of Astaka Bukit is one of Penang Hill's key initiative to enhance the summit experience while preserving the unique character. The project goes beyond constructing a new building. As I mentioned earlier, it was actually carried in 3 stages. So now we are in phase 3. So this is actually aims to create a modern, inclusive, sustainable food hall, we would say, rather than a food normal Astaka. So the major component of this project, we also did the geotechnical and slope sustainable works to ensure the strengthen the hill and also to improve the long term resilience of this area. Next, we are using the exact footprint of the previous Astaka to rebuild the new one. So the next project we are looking at is to adaptive reuse of gatehouse, where we're going to convert this into a museum gallery. Currently we are working, we got an allocation from RMK 13, about 8 million to do this project. So this will be a gallery which we will showcase immersive relative components and other facilities to have a new engaging gateway for our visitors. Next. Next one will be phase 6. We call it phase 6. Will be a revitalization of Kuli Line into a low impact eco village by retaining the existing footprint of the buildings and also introduce a modular accommodation units. Next. Okay. Having shared our conservation initiatives and also transformation journey, I would like to conclude that while highlighting the ongoing challenges that Penang PHC faces in managing Penang Hill, the greatest challenge is achieving the right balance between development and conservation. On the hand, we are experiencing increasing visitors numbers with growing expectation for better facilities, improved accessibility, and enhanced visitors experiences. Tourism is vital to Penang Hill's economy, but it is also places great pressure on our infrastructure and natural environment. At the same time, climate change also presents another major challenge. More frequent and intense rainfall has increased the risk of slope failures, erosion, and also fallen trees and damages to infrastructure. This requires a continuous investment in slope stabilization, drainage improvements, and also climate resilience infrastructure to ensure the safety of the visitors and long-term resilience of the hill. Like many public agencies, we also operate with financial and technical constraints. Every project must carefully be prioritized to maximize the value while ensuring the compliance with environmental regulations, heritage requirements, and also sustainability objectives. This is where strategic planning and good governance become critical. Through SAP and also Summit Area Concept Master Plan and the design review panel, we ensure that every development decision is carefully assessed, balancing the environmental protection, heritage conservation, social needs, and also economic development. Ultimately, conservation is not making informed decision. Our role is not to stop development, but it is actually to guide it responsibly so that Penang Hill remains a resilient, sustainable, cherished destination for the future generation. Next. Penang Hill is more than a tourist destination. It is a living landscape where nature, heritage, people coexist. Our responsibility is to ensure that every decision we make today strengthens its legacy for generations to come. Thank you. That's all my sharing for today.
Thanks, Lingish. I think what I'll do going forward is I will just give you guys a bit of a heads up when there's 5 minutes left in your 20 minutes. No, just so that we don't go too much overtime. Yeah. Okay. So okay, thanks so much. Lingish. No problem. No problem. Okay. So our next speaker is Muhammad Sharizan bin Sapiai, otherwise known as Shah. And Shah is manager of engineering and of the engineering and geotechnical division at Penang Hill Corporation, and has been working on Penang Hill since 2012, dedicating 14 years of service to the hill as a whole. Involved in the development process of Penang Hill from the very beginning. And today, Shah will be speaking about engineering challenges in delivering sustainable development in Penang Hill. He will touch upon the unique challenges faced in the development of the hill, and will also touch upon some of the challenges posed by landslides and extreme weather events on Penang Hill. Thank you, Shah.
Hi, very good morning, everybody. Thank you, Moderator Mr. Alan. Thank you, GM. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And today we cheer up and relax. Okay, relax, no stress. Okay, okay. My presentation today is focus about challenging, because and you will see all the my presenting today a little bit related to the first presenter, because it's about challenging the projects. Okay. Okay. Actually, engineering challenging is delivering sustainable development in the Penang Hill. Actually, about the project, it's all about the project in the Penang Hill, because as we say, the site constraint, geotechnical challenge, construction challenges, innovation, and lesson learned. This is what I want talking about today. Okay, you can see all the picture here. This is the mapping. You remember on 2017 they have a typhoon hit the Penang. Okay, in the Penang Hill itself, we received 319 landslide on the top of Penang Hill during a day. Actually, this I'm mapping with my team. I walk around the Penang Hill all over the 319 landslide to mapping all the landslide itself. We mapping all the parameters, and also we come back to the office and then we plot in the map. It's not easy. It takes time. It's hard because there's no transport going up. We need to walk, hike up to top of the hill every day, and then came back at the evening. Okay, and then after that we cooperate with the USM. We map all the landslide with GPS, and then we come up with this map. That's for our record. Okay, now I will show you the exciting punya challenges that we have when we're facing any development in the Penang Hill. Sure, because we have only one road to the Penang Hill. It's from the jeep track, from the Taman Botani. All the development need to carry all the material by that. Okay, I will show you the video first. Okay, this is about the Penang Hill cable car. When we want to build a huge station, sure we need machinery to build. We need to carry a crane, 75-ton crane. Because of the steep slope, the steep of the road, the crane itself cannot move by itself. We need to hire a special towing to move up the crane up to the Penang Hill. Not one, but two. This crane is especially from Johor. It's not in Penang. You rented from Johor, from by the contractor itself. You can see all the video there. See? It tied to each other, and then it tried to pull up the crane. We need to stop several times because the mechanical problem lah. Because you need to cool down the engines, all the brakes, everything, and then we continue. It takes at least 4 hours. Two days at least for planning. Okay, this is a second. This is no video, no sound, because this is by drone. Yes. It shows the steep road there. Wow. What happened to the video? This towing is tied to this towing, and this towing tied to the crane. We need to pull out the 75-ton crane. It's not easy because of safety concern. This is a challenge why I'm saying when we have development in Penang Hill. That's why when we have any project in Penang Hill, we concern about the experienced contractor can get the project because about the hill punya constraint. So that's why when people talk about cost of the any development in Penang Hill is quite high. This is because the mob and demob, and also to transfer all the material is very costly. We just feel like we can share the video first. Or you want to skip? Can skip, yeah? All right. Okay, this the micropile works during the Ashcliffe construction. We think our life is hard. Their life is very hard, more than us. Okay, this 𝐂𝐝𝐴𝐴 challenge during the landslide on 2017 when we have received 3019 landslide. Actually, when have no machinery can go up, we do everything manually. Even to hit the rock, to smash all the rock, made by manually. That's why we take around 2 months to clear everything on the tracks, and then we restore back all the the track, everything, and then we resume the service of the funicular during 3 months. We work 24 hours for 3 months. Okay, this is a huge builder that come up from the top and then hit the upper tunnel road. This boulders we use blasting method because it's too used to break by manual. We involve the police and everything. Okay, this is more related to what the first speaker presented. It's about the middle station, all the track, everything. We use a reverse engineering method. When we try to strengthening the slope, it's not stable. That's why we need to granite all the slope first, and then we reverse to the method of the soil nailing, because we need to stabilize the slope before we go up and then do the soil nailing. It's about safety for the workers. We don't want any landslide occur during the construction. Okay, you can see this is viaduct number 12. They have an effect by the landslide during 2017. Sometimes we cannot go for the natural method because of the safety concern about the slope, because the requirement by JCAR is for the FOS factor of safety is 1.6. So sometimes when we have analysis, go for the natural method, they cannot achieve for the FOS. So that's why we use the cementing and the soil nailing, everything. Yeah, FOS is the factor of safety for the slope, which means the minimum what we got requirement for the slope to stand for the safety. The minimum is 1.6, the requirement by JKR now. Okay, this is a Penang Hill Station construction that we built from the beginning until to the end. And then now you can see all the Penang Hill Station stand. Okay, about the Penang Hill Station upgrades project can achieve while protecting heritage and the natural environment. The protecting the heritage character of the upper station while introducing a modern facility. Because the phase 4, the station also is built on the steep slope. That's a problem. We also need to strengthening all the slope first. And then we build the building. And at the same time, we need to operation our funicular. We cannot close our station. That is challenging ours. Even the construction of the station still need to operate the funicular for the customer, for the tourism, for the tourists. That's why we need to manage all the visitors, not enter to the site for the safety. And luckily we have the L walk that we can divert all the visitors straight to the Astaka and straight to the hill. Avoid to enter the site. Okay, this is Astaka that currently we have on the top now. The challenges of the Astaka is about also the steep slope and to transfer all the material. And then with the constraint of the space, because we only have one little bit, a small space there to store all the material, also the machinery, everything. That is quite a compact over there. Now the current progress is around 30%. We target at the third quarters of the 2027 to finish all this project. Okay, actually the first stage already have a problem already. When all the micropile at the first level hit the rock, and we cannot construct a pie cap. When we cannot construct a pie cap, it's delay already. That's why we need to break all the borders. But to break all the borders, we cannot use an explosive because it will affect the micropile. That's why we need to do a manual. This is about the construction challenge because on the steep terrain, and also we need to transfer all the limit. We have the limited access because they have one road there, the jeep track only. We need to share the road with the resident, with the other project. That's why we need to manage all the schedule. We need to collaborate with resident and other contractor to make sure that there's no jam on that road, and then not to give a problem to resident also. For the slope stability, actually, to ensuring the excavation does not trigger the landslide or slope failure, we need to have we also conduct a detailed geotechnical invitation, including borehole and testing before we conduct all the strengthening slope. That doing by the consultant. Okay, for the possible engineering solution, sorry. We have a comprehensive geotechnical site inspection before we construct any development on the hill because it's concerned about the slope, the stabilization of slope. And then for the Astaka, we design for the micropile anchor to back rock and then soil nailing combined with the horizontal drain and granulating wood, and also they have grass. And then we conduct about the multi-level drainage system because this drainage system is very important for the hill because to divert all the water, go to channel to the water to drain because it will reduce the failure of the slope. And also continuous slope monitoring using inclinometer and settlement marker. This is during before construction, and during construction also we install this method because we want to monitor the slope during construction if any movement. Yes, this is for safety for the surrounding area and also for the workers. Okay, this is actually the 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐨𝐧. This 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐨𝐧 actually also affected during the landslide 2017. You can see all the micropiles surrounding the area from the bottom to the top. so many thousand micropie to strengthening all of the surrounding slope. During the landslide, this actually bungalow standing, this is very lucky because during British time, they built the actually bungalow on the rock. For the foundation, they built sitting on the rock. The rock is very stable. That's why it's not collapse during the landslide. That's why after the landslide, we're strengthening all over the slope surrounding the area to strengthening back. Now it's safe. You can go over there. Yes. This is what Presenter Poninge said about the his bungalow and get house. Yes. We skip this about it because we talk about the. Okay, this is a funicular track. The important things on the Penang Hill. Because the conservation of the Penang Hill railway track demonstrate how heritage preservation, engineering excellence, and environmental stewardship can work together to ensure a safe, reliable, and sustainable transport system for the future generation. Okay. We also conduct collaborate with the consultant to have a comprehensive visual inspection for the track and the tunnel to do the test, everything, because the track is almost more than 100 years now, 103 years already. That's why we need to strengthening all the slope, the viaduct, because it's 100 years, right? That's why we have on 2018 we have a testing, and then we collaborate with the consultant MPA, and then we come up with the solution to identify with the weakest part of the track, and then we strengthening that part. This we also engage the third party from the Switzerland, the original engineer, to check out the report and then come inspection on the site itself. Where the weak structure, sometimes we strengthening back the structure. We enhance back the structure. If let's say the structure fail, the new structure will take a load 100%. So it's safe now. And also this is a new construction to strengthening back all the viaduct. If let's say this viaduct fail, this structure will take a load 100%. We also have a survey monitoring works where we check the stability of the structure, if there any movement or not during the train passing through. We check everything. Yeah. Okay, this is innovation. When they have landslide at the middle station, there's no machinery. So what we do, we use a manual. This is an innovation that I can do. This is middle station. We take 1 month to clear all the soil. This helped by the resident, hikers, and the workers and the Bangla or the Indonesian. From the lesson I learned, actually during the landslide, actually what I'm triggered is the drain itself. That's why me and my team go map all the drain all over the Penang Hill. We go hiking all the drain, we map back, we repair back all the drain, make sure all the water goes back to the drain from the slope. And then we come up with the map. And then we do the upgrading works for the all drainage system on the hill. Until now, no more landslide for Penang Hill, because when we enhance the drain, all the water go to the drain, the slope is more safe, more stable. And we also rebuild back all the road on the Penang Hill. This road also become a drain, a surface drain. It's collect all the water and then channel back to the drain. Also, we need to protect the biodiversity, because this all the become the on the top of Penang Hill. You can see it's from the Penang Hill. It's not outside the picture. It's not outside the picture. This from Penang Hill itself. Oh, sorry. All right. Sorry. Okay. For the conclusion, despite these challenges, Penang Hill has made a remarkable progress through integrated slope management, sustainable infrastructure upgrade, conservation of the heritage building, continuous maintenance of the funicular railway, and environmental stewardship. We have demonstrated that development and conservation are not opposing a goal. They can must complement one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Shah. Okay, we'll quickly move on. Spot on, right on time, Shah. So our next speaker is A.R. Safwan Azman, who is the director of Architect LLA and has been instrumental in delivering key development and conservation projects on Penang Hill since 2017, including but not limited to the Penang Hill Funicular Railway stations, the upcoming Cable Car Hill Station, and the Astaka Food Court redevelopment. Some of the notable projects that have showcased his ability to blend historical context with innovative design solutions are the UAB building, PAM building of the year 2018, and the Penang Hill Funicular stations. Safwan is particularly interested in architecture that responds to place, culture, and community, and continues to champion design approaches that integrate sustainability, heritage conservation, and public value. Today, Safwan will be speaking to us about the Penang Hill Station, conservation by design within historic urban landscape. Thanks, Safwan.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. Thanks, Ellen. Before I begin, I should just apologize for the crying noise. My kid is coming today to see my presentation, I suppose. So sorry in advance. Thank you also to the first two speakers. We have Lingesh and Sarizan. Pejam Celik, it's been almost 10 years working together with both of them. It's been a pleasure. Also with you, Dato. But they have captured quite very important points and key sort of considerations when it comes to development on Penang Hill. And that sets a good sort of a platform for me today to talk about a little bit more in depth to a project, specifically the Penang Hill Station. And for us, LLA, I think working hand in hand with partners with PHC overall, we have always had this privilege to understand the opportunities, the limitations, and the significance as well as sensitivity of building on the hill. And before I begin the sort of in focus presentation with regards to the hill station, to the Penang station, probably I'll just maybe discuss with you the journey that LLA, the firm, has basically on the right, looking at how do we conserve and how do we develop the hill. And for the past decades, so I'm talking about the past, present, and the future of the hill as well. LLA has been blessed with this portfolio. It has always been a very, I would say, good opportunity as well as a very challenging task for us to understand what Penang Hill is all about. And throughout all these sort of initiatives that we have delivered, and some of them are coming up. Right. And what we are looking here are those works that we have basically delivered for the past few decades, looking at even this building itself as far as restoration is concerned, the hill station, the upcoming Astaka and cable car. And it's very important for us. There's a lot of lesson learned here. There's a lot of different challenges for different type of projects, but the underlying principles are the same. The key sort of understanding about those constraints that just now Sa has indicated to us, from the logistic issue, from the significance of the hill. These are very, very important sort of balancing act that you have to form to ensure that these projects are basically delivered successfully. And today we want to share on behalf of LLA how do we approach the Penang Hill Station, considering all these challenges, considering all the issues from policy point of view as well, from the physical limitations that we have on the hill. And just to give a bit of context, I'll be using this image quite often, but you can see the hill is not just the hill. We may have been to any other hills in the world, but this hill also is a city. It's a Bandar Bukit Bendera, for your information. So there is a lot of complexity at play here. The layerings of the hill, of the livelihood, of the transaction of business and commerce is all gel into one. And what we are looking at today, you will see the funicular up to the particular platform here, and the project that I'll be zoom in a little bit today is with regards to the hill station itself, as well as the nearby surroundings and landscape works, engaging in what we call as the arrival precinct of the hill. So we have Edgecliff as well by Miss Tan later on as part of the whole precinct. In 2018, when we were approached with this particular project and issues, the problems are staring right on our face. It's really just about the deteriorating sort of facilities. It's about the congestion issues, and this is very important as far as how do we solve, or how do we provide a solution without sacrificing on the significance or the identity of the hill. Back in 2018, there are a lot of occasions when there's any minor hiccup, you'll end up with 2 hours kind of queue all the way to the police station, for example. Right? There were many occasions that complaints as well coming from visitors where the experience has just basically being affected. People very anxious about living and coming to the hill because of all these issues. And even though this is not for topic today's discussion, but carrying capacity as what people actually has always been talked about on the hill, it's not always just the issue. But for us planners and architects, we look at this as the efficiency or the strategic planning and strategic thinking behind how do we actually properly manage and how do we properly disperse crowds efficiently throughout the hill. And there are ways that back and forth between the stakeholders that we're looking at. How far do we have to go and develop this Penang Hill Station, right? Because you could easily just maximize the whole areas. You could easily just flatten, as much of the landform as possible, and take as much as visitors as you want and maximize profit. But it's not really about that when it comes to this particular exercise. Almost from the same view here, this is, I suppose, taken when it was opened in 1920s, right? Against to when we first somehow started the works, the additional sort of infrastructure that has been included or been erected undermine the memory of the hill, the memory of the structure itself. And we want to talk about how important it is. And I think we want to also ensure that we ask the right questions. What are we conserving, right? Both of the speakers just now touched on that. But I really look I really like to look back at, you know, how this place came about into existence in the first place, you know, in terms of the impact of human civilization throughout the history, and how this particular gateway of a station back then in 1920s, you know, spurred the whole changes on the hill, right? When it was just before the introduction of the funicular station, the structure or the sort of neighborhood on the hill is totally different than it was, right? When you could only build with timber, nipa, that sort of thing for the thatch roof. With this introduction of the railways and this whole facilities, the whole sort of city kind of take into shape. You know, you start to be able to build more modern materials using granite and steel. And this is a very particular point in the history of not just Penang Hill, but Penang itself. It marks an era where people could now look at the Penang Hill as just more than a colonial rest area, but you know, commoners can actually now go up and enjoy the hill and the view. But I would like to take a step back again. The works are not just on the station itself, right? Because when we were looking at how important this particular station being in that particular location, right? It's a gateway, it's a connecting hub. It's good to see and it's good to understand what is the significance of the hill. You know, if I ask you today, you know, what is so special about Penang Hill? We've all been to different places in the world, and I think we need to be able to understand that. And as designer, that's the first sort of key questions with regards to why is Penang Hill significant, right? So I would like to just maybe read a statement of significance that we have basically stated before we begin the project, so that we can appreciate and understand what are we preserving. There are three key significance of the hill, whether into historical significance, scientific and engineering significance, and ecological. For historical significance, just bear with me, I'll just read a little bit here. Flagstaff Hill. So Flagstaff Hill is referring to one of the hills on Penang. I think we have various of them. Flagstaff is the most developed, not the highest. The highest is, if I'm not mistaken, is Western Hill. So at 750 m, Flagstaff Hill is of historical significance as the oldest hill station in Southeast Asia, dated back to 1788. And thought to be the first one built in the British colonies. Within 18 months of the establishment of British settlement on Penang Island in 1786, the hill was established as it serves as the beacon to signal Fort Cornwallis and Georgetown of incoming ships. In addition, the placement of the British flag on the hilltop signifies its authority over the Pearl of the Orient, demonstrating the strong association of the hill and its architecture with the period of colonial settlement in the region. This is how we get our name, Bukit Bendera. We have that big bendera near Bel Retiro to signal. This is all the defense mechanism to signal enemy's ship to Penang. The second significance is scientific engineering significance. The first of its kind in Southeast Asia, the funicular train was truly a remarkable feat of engineering led by a distinguished engineer, Arnold R. Johnson, in 1913. His design ingenuity was reflected in overcoming and difficult hill terrain and access, as its tunnel is considered one of the steepest in the world, a feat that earned Johnson a prize from the Institution of Civil Engineering. Opened in public in 1924, the funicular train marks an important achievement in Penang transport history. The railway allowed a new generation of architecture built in stone and steel instead of wood and natap, and subsequently marked the beginning of the hill's expansion and transformation as a civic realm. Okay, the last significance, ecological or natural significance, home to million-year-old rainforests and many rare wildlife species. The designation of the hill as UNESCO Biosphere Reserve in 2021 evidently illustrates the ecological significance. It holds protected under the Highland Forest Reserve and gazetted water catchment area. Okay, so next time, I mean, if people ask you what's so special about Penang Hill, right? It's not just maybe about the kacang putih or the food, right? It's all this is very deeply rooted to in the geography that we belong to all together here. So um, we like to have this in the back burner in our mind when it comes to the question, what are we conserving? And it's good to be also romantic about all those things, about the historical significance, but also to understand it's more than that. For the past 100 over years, there's just a sort of multi-layered complexity in the city of Bukit Bendera itself, right? It's beyond just a building, a pokok, or a wildlife, but it is all about what just now, for example, Sam mentioned about the septic tank. Sorry, it's not it's not romantic at all, but it's a necessity. How do you actually make sure supply of water? How do you make sure supply of electricity? So this basically combines a whole lot of challenges in terms of how do we conserve, how do we develop. Uh, as a planning tool, we involve hand in hand with PHC to look at how do we manage, how do we plan, and the morphology of the site came into picture in terms of understanding how do we connect and how do we use a planning tool, as we call it, the historic urban landscape. Is a framework developed by UNESCO in 2011, and we feel it's appropriate tool to be used when it comes to looking at historic urban landscape per se. So this tool, if you compare with Georgetown, is basically, instead of focusing on a monument or a building, it looks at conservation as part of the integration of the whole sort of layer and complexity. So it's much bigger framework. So what are we doing? How are we doing with time? Half? Oh. Thanks, Ellen. All right. Okay, I have to speed up a bit. Linkage took a bit of my time, so we went from planning point of view. We look at this as a arrival precinct, as what we call it. We work together with Penang Hill to map out the sort of a walkability, connectivity, because that's the most important sort of, I would say, device that this project can actually contribute. It's about becoming a hub to allow for a proper dispersion of crowd, to ensure that this building could take on the operations as well as the functional needs. We look at how do we manage the whole experience, including the software of the building. It's not just about the physical enhancements, but also how we can introduce a much smarter, much smooth system, I would say, in terms of organizing the crowd, introduction of EQMS system. I think this is quite a game changer when it comes to managing the expectation of the crowd as they travel on the hill. So we work out the schemes to ensure that all different sort of stakeholders, people going up the hill, people going down the hill, they would be properly managed and be able to take the train in and out smoothly. The whole design exercise starts with the understanding of one of the key historic elements of Penang Hill, which is the landform. So we understand that it's not just about maximizing the footprint, it's about navigating the landform by introducing a necessary architectural planning. So when we look at the scheme here, we feel that we can learn a lot from the natural landform, which is the contour itself, right? At 725, around that, above sea level, this area that we actually is available for us to develop is very, very limited. I'll show you a little bit later on that, but the scheme or the architectural sort of amenities that is developed is purely inspired by the landform, so that there will be key consideration in terms of how do we preserve the panoramic view of the ocean and the city. We further, as part of the whole project on this gateway of Penang Hill, introduction of walkway and terrace platforms were considered to allow people to easily access the lower part of the strata of the hill. So with that, we maximize and we unlock few additional key panoramic views towards the city. And the way we look at it is the landscape itself would enable the dispersion of crowd from the entry point and towards the other part of the hill, also connecting to David Brown where we are today. So as you can see how the building is restraining itself, to follow the contour of the site, to follow the natural shape. Sa has talked about the stabilization works that were ongoing. And that was one of the key challenges when it comes to building this. There were a lot of logistical issues. As you can see, there's only one way in, one way out. And at the same time, we have to allow people to still come to the hill to enjoy. Throughout this whole particular precinct here, we introduce the stations itself, the key sort of terrace walkway going down to the lower level, and also the lift for universal access. But as you can see, the connectivity to the top strata of the hill was also key, and as well as the connection to the Astaka over this side here. So the form, the sort of building sort of appearance were taken into considerations, inspired by nature, to be able to assess and basically hugging the hill, the Strawberry Hill in a sense, to allow for very minimal intervention throughout. Right. So there's this whole not very clear here, but it's what is showing here is a different sort of levels that the project has unlocked, to ensure the access to the original is KBB bungalow, and at the same, almost at the same level as Edgecliff, but also to the upper part of the hill, to the David Brown. Maybe you can play. There's a video here. Sorry. Yeah, I think just to share a little bit about the logistic sort of constraints, when it comes to building on this particular site, with a very limited footprint and access. We also were in the middle of COVID era at that time, when this whole sort of project were taken aback, were delayed for about 29 months. Overall completion was about 29 months. And on top of that, of course, you have seen just now quite a traumatic video by Sa, how to get the truck to turn the corner. But what it also means to our planning is how do we actually plan the construction? How do we actually divide up and segment the building out? Right. So because, for example, you cannot have a beam bigger than 6 meter length to be able to be transported up. So all this will have to be planned in sections and to enable some kind of proper logistical plans throughout the project. Yeah, so there were key sort of considerations, but of course the main thing in mind is to ensure the conservation or the preservation of main elements of the hill were properly looked at. And at the end of the day, it's all about how do we ensure the building is connected or somehow is becoming part of the hill itself. So the selection of materials, the steel construction, for example, were taken into consideration, for a supposedly fast construction. The color was much muted, and not trying to somehow become the sort of a main persona on the hill. So instead to blend with it. The view, I think, as you have probably also came across this morning, it unlocks a new sort of angle or panoramic view towards our beloved Georgetown. Uh, and I think that's one of the key sort of conservation elements, because within the historic guidelines, we are looking at his heritage corridor view that has to be preserved, that has to be somehow maximized and enhanced. So this is how do you use new design to enhance, the sort of values of the hill, the opportunities that we have throughout this time. So another photo taken looking at how the building has managed to frame and provide this particular platform to allow this experience to be maximized. It's quite a popular spot nowadays to look at the fireworks and whatnot. But more than that as well is to ensure there is actually a proper navigation of managing the crowd. How do you get people in and out? How do you get elderly, disabled, to be able to use these stations and enjoy the facilities? And one of the key component of the project, which is the green approach. So this is a certificate that we have recently secured. And I think Penang Hill can be very, very proud about this. The building is awarded with platinum for Green Building Index. There's only about 4% of the project in Malaysia, over 600 projects, that is awarded with platinum. So what it means here is basically that the building is delivered at the highest efficiency of green building system, right? So what that transpired as far as design is concerned is we as a consultant has looked into several components of the building to ensure this to happen. Sure enough, it's a very simple, straightforward building, but what it means to the hill is that it becomes an aspiration as far as how much we can push, to ensure that the development is not necessarily a very negative thing, when it comes to a natural context. It's about designing efficiently. It's about designing with conservation in mind. So we have renewable energies for considerations. We have, of course, the way we treat the cross ventilation across the buildings, right? The water efficiency system is all come into play when it comes to this green system. The last bit of this is, of course, how do we actually enhance the connectivity surrounding the site? This is fair enough. Was built a little bit a bit earlier than the station itself, but it was to enable the universal access across different levels of the building. So it was inspired by the spider web design, and it becomes a very important platform to enjoy the view. Along with the terrace garden, where people could feel as if they are part of the sort of garden experience as they go down the steep hill, and that becomes part of the enjoyable part of the experience. Another view of the hill when it was completed with the terrace garden, and yeah, and all in all, I think we look back at this project and believe that there's a lot of lessons that was basically learned. And as far as the challenges is concerned, this is one of a kind. I hope we can also in the future talk about different challenges for other projects, but this personally, and also as far as what the company, the LLA, has gone through, has been a very enriching experience. And as Dato always say that when it comes to the efficiency of the building, the sort of the embrace of nature and conservation principles. We hope that we have proved that there is a possibility and there's an opportunity to strike the balance between the two. So with that, I think that's all for today. I hope that you guys can now understand a little bit better in terms of how do we work together. I can go and on, but I know it's a bit later. But looking back at the building, it's important that I think we see all this sort of building inspired form by nature. And yes, that's all for today. Thank you.
That was a great closing image. Thank you, someone.
Quite a perfect
Perfect,
connection
perfect,
between nature and architecture.
yes, nature and nature culture.
Huh? Which one is me?
Fantastic, awesome. So we've gone from the regulatory framework into zooming down into the challenges, and now into into the gateway and the precincts on Penang Hill. And now we're going to go even more into greater detail on one specific project, 𝐻𝐾𝐽𝐿 Bungalow, 𝐻𝐾𝐽𝐿 Gallery at Penang Hill. Yes, our next speaker is 𝐂𝐴𝐻𝐻𝐼DR Tan BU, who is an award-winning Malaysian architect, educator, and principal architect of BU Tan Architect. Widely recognized for her work in adaptive reuse and heritage conservation, she was the principal architect for the transformation of the historic 𝐻𝐾𝐽𝐿 Gallery at Penang Hill, converting a 1937-era heritage bungalow into an immersive gallery and educational destination that celebrates the history, biodiversity, and cultural heritage of Penang Hill. Her portfolio of award-winning projects reflects a design philosophy rooted in empathy, sustainability, and community impact, giving historic buildings renewed purpose as galleries, libraries, cultural institutions, and civic spaces. She's also a lecturer at USM and is a frequent speaker on adaptive reuse, heritage conservation, and the future of architecture. Today, BU will be giving us a talk entitled Empathy in 𝐻𝐾𝐽𝐿 Journey of Transformation. BU.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator Alan. It's a good crowd this morning. I feel if the talk today is like a full course meal, how many meal would this be? 4 course. I think we start off very well with our first course. Our Madam Lingish served a very strong appetizer, set the tone. Now we know everything about PHC. And then followed with second speaker, Shah. A lot of stories of susah, struggle, challenges on the hill. And I take it as it was a good soup for the soul, nourishing soul. And I felt Safwan served as a very satisfying main dish, main course tu. The steak, the potato, full satisfying amount of body of work. And I feel, where do I come in then? I'm like the dessert. So I'll make it short and sweet, but I hope there's some sweet memories that you take home too when you get back to Georgetown. This project will not be possible without the vision of a visionary leader in PHC GM, Datuk Chok. This is true story, so I cannot take credit. If this project is a show, a lot of metaphors, sekejap makan, sekejap show. If this is a show, I'm just a choreographer. And applause to Datuk Chok for seeing the potential in 𝐻𝐾𝐽𝐿 and the team that really work along. I like the thread today because I don't have to explain the background, the struggles of the soil nail, and the care taken to make 𝐻𝐾𝐽𝐿 a reality. So, macam dah habis all the stories, nothing left for me. I'm just going to share the things that you don't see on the walls of 𝐻𝐾𝐽𝐿, the sauce, the sweet sauce. Okay. So I call empathy because old buildings to me are like grandfather, grandmother, right? When we started this project, 2020, Datuk Chok, 𝐻𝐾𝐽𝐿 is already 1937. We do the maths, is 83 years old. My grandmother passed away in 83. And to me, I sayang my old buildings. I tend to have a very close relationship with old buildings because I love my grandparents. 𝐻𝐾𝐽𝐿 feels like a grandmother to me. So what would J.C. Miller think, in 1937? His creation building will last till 83 years old. And another architect like me comes into play, and the Datuk said, look, let me show you. Miss Tan, take a look at this building. What can we do about 𝐂𝐴𝐺? And at 83, 83, grand old lady is wrinkled, tired, but a lot of stories to tell in the walls of the building that is waiting to be revived. So to me, because I'm very attached with my grandmother, and I thought my parents wanted me to be a doctor lah. So tak jadi doctor, I become an architect. So to me, it's like I am the savior of old buildings. If I have powers to give like booster of another 100 years, I think this is what we could do with 𝐂𝐺. So 𝐂𝐺 is like, if we saw Safwan's slides on how remarkable is perched at the edge. So if I'm 𝐂𝐺, really at the edge of it, like this washroom, 3 sides of it are steep slopes, nothing much we could extend. So how do we treat a 3-story grand old lady at 83 years old? And this project went through COVID, and so the whole main structure framework was strategized from very early on. We worked closely with Dato and PSC, and the first thing was, we're going to restore it, that's for sure, right? Grandmother, we're not going to give grandmother a superstar, iconic costume, but treat grandmother like a dignified grand old lady. Lipstick also, not super red, just do a really good refresh. And then we want everybody to come back to grandma's house, because, otherwise she'll be forgotten. So the whole strategy was, we need to make it accessible. So we had a link bridge. This is before and after. And then once we connect all the grandchildren, all balik rumah grandmother, then what do we do next? We give grandma a good facelift with a full feature. We are not doing plastic surgeon, we are not doing plastic surgery, we're not doing the wrinkle, not Botox, tak ada. We just do refresh, because we respect grandma like how it is. So in a way, it's a lot of, in architects term, we call it a restraint. Architects sometimes so excited to tambah, add this, add that, but in 𝐂𝐺, it was a mental note that say, I think we have to take a step back, because ni grandmother you're talking about. When you take photo with grandma, you don't stand in front of grandma, right? So you say, okay, grandma duduk dulu. So that's a whole lot of restraint and respect that we built into the project. And the building program, I think our first speaker have listed out the 5 curation. So PSC has a strong curation team, Dato, and there was a big team of committee, each group focusing on time, tunnel, biodiversity, heritage, funicular, and culture. So the curation was strong, and we came in, we are a choreographer of space. We were the architect, interior designer, and then we collaborate, bringing the vision of the PSC curation team into reality. Because as interior designer, we play with colors, and we map that out together. So in my next few slides, we will take you on a journey that you don't really hear. And these are strong strategies that we met up. Number 1 is faithful. Faithful, like how you treat grandmother come in, and then you say, all right, faithful with her features. So we're faithful with the context, strong sense of place. We recognize that 𝐂𝐺, that's how it is. It's at the edge of a cliff. Do you want to change that? We don't. So what we have that restraint and respect, what else that we could do? Bringing people to the roof, create a cascade step so that you can have that magnificent view. And what's left is the interiors. So we weave a story through 𝐂𝐺. So if you have visited 𝐂𝐺, after the talk today, maybe you go visit again, maybe your stories will be different. And of course, we wanted to be sustainable from the beginning, natural lighting. In gallery, usually, rooms like this, it's all very inward. But because we also want to be sustainable and also, very cost effective, so we made sure, number 1 rule in the gallery design, all must have window, must have 100% natural light. So you go back again, then maybe you realize that it is a rare gallery to embrace natural light in. Because we design museum and gallery, so in museum usually you're afraid that the UV will ruin the antique furniture and all that. But here we are very strategic about it. And then this is 4, 5, and 6. These are like 6 strategies that we map out. As designer, architect, I set rules for myself, and I say, okay, this has to be humble and honest. Honest with grandma, that's my own family values, and very humble with grandma around. We're not trying to do, turn grandma into Madonna, So she's grandma as we know it, and then we bring her with vistas. So vistas in architecture term are like windows. We view frame. And now you go to 𝐻𝐶liff again. I challenge you, you find the vista, because every room we have a secret vista aim, like an Easter egg waiting to be discovered. So those are very humble, not in the face kind of intervention. And of course, sustainability. So how do we do sustainability in a small footprint? This is only about 110 square meter. 3-story, like a perch hilltop bungalow, all right? So we were changing a house of 10, 10 orang lah, 10 to become 100. So this is called a adaptive reuse in a universal term, because we are changing a house to a visitor gallery. So we did not work alone. We worked with a team of consultants, YAA, M&E, 𝐺H QS, and Green Consultant, and closely with team from PHC. So this is a section 1, 2, and 3. 3-story. You can imagine the original architect go down to the cliff and he sit there and say, how do you do this? Oh, very easy. 1, 2, 3. Follow the slope, and that's it. And because the view was magnificent. I'm sure the view then and now is the same, 1937, and now sama kan. So he would have saw what we see today. So that's how he did flat roof. He knew then that this is a great view, because you could see from Georgetown, 𝐶𝐝𝐻 right to the second bridge. So it's amazing to be able to stand here and feel what the original architect feel. And, we would not dare to think of changing anything. So it's like, oh, kita respect. If I can show you how internally, how I treat 𝐻𝐶liff, was like a lot of kowtow and say, okay, grandma, please forgive us. We will give you a facelift in the next 2 years. So how do you do this? So we added, these are, you arrive living, you go down bedroom, and then this slightly is the servant quarters in the house those days. So how do you change this into a visitor gallery from 10 to 100? When you can't change the structure in architectural term, it is a constraint. But we turn the constraint, the C, into a concept. So we are not afraid that, okay, this is the concept that we inherit grandma that comes with 3 layers. Do we try to change it? No, grandma has 3 layers. 1, 2, and 3. So with Dato' Chok's vision of let's create a link, we totally agree, because this is where the public engagement would be. And we chose to arrive at the living hall. Again, the homage to the historical nature of the building, selalu we enter with the living room, right? So we say, okay, we bring main entrance, go into the living room. Before living room, now it's still the living room. So when you have segmented floors of different level, you don't see a continuity of exhibits. Now what do we do? So we weave a storyline. So we weave a journey of 5 notes, and then end with the souvenir shop, and then end with the outdoor seating. So please go to 𝐻𝐶liff again, and then do this route, and then you feel what I say, and then whether it gets to you. I'm going to go a bit faster. Oh, this is too bright. Huh? Okay. So this is the roof, okay? And then the entrance, you come down here and you walk through this space. I have a colored version. Okay. So this is clearer. Now, if you've gone to IKEA, so you know how IKEA is very clever. You go in, you can't come out. So that's the whole trick. So I cannot take credit. I'm doing ordinary stuff, but we are being creative with the constraint. And because while we weave a storyline of a single way, you enter, and then we have a timeline tunnel, and then biodiversity, cultural, and then you go further down to funicular train, and then we weave through. It took us a while to make sense of the small rooms, yeah. And I imagine, ladies wear those pearls, like what you're wearing now, and those pearls beads are the gallery, and we are providing a string, and then we say, okay, put time tunnel, then. Why biodiversity first? Because nature comes before us. So kena biodiversity first. Then after that, after biodiversity, then we talk about the building. And after that, the train. And then the stories of the people. So the Heritage Gallery we had this idea of extraordinary tales from ordinary people of Penang Hill. So go back again, because those photos were real collection from team from PHC, contacted families, asked for postcards. It was like a major gotong royong collecting photos. So this is the actual profile. And honestly, we changed the windows but we respected the origin is mild steel. So we didn't change it to any other form. We just replace, repair, and reinstate. Much of the structural remained intact. The building was in good condition structurally, surprising, but because it was really built with concrete. But what we did was we reinforced the timber flooring, because from 10 to 100, so our engineers introduced additional members to strengthen the timber floor. So this original condition, again, you could see how Grand Old Lady is waiting to be revived, full of stories to tell. And I thought it's really natural. It's very apt and appropriate. Old Lady's house become a gallery of stories to tell. So this is after photos of completed intervention. We added the bridge. We added the shade with a solar panel on top, and we extended the platform for viewing. I feel very bad when Safwan showed the micro pile of that guy, because of our idea to do that, and he has to suffer the mud in the face. So that, I was like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry. But yeah, that was us having that vision of having that platform. You could play guitar, you could, tell stories. So we thought, oh, this is the best. Before, we couldn't really stand there, right? It was just me, Dato Cheong, and a few PHC team, and it's like, after that, you are down the hill already. So we said, I think we extend a little bit, and we needed a few micro pile to make that happen. So I hope after today, when you visit again, you feel the soup susah, the soup tonic, the strength, the set struggles, that it took a lot of effort for this project, that little project, to be complete. And the top view. Now, so as architects, we are, so excited to show where else we can add. But grandma is, a lot of restraint, 3 side, full, no options. Oh, then we left with the roof. So in Singlish or Manglish, die must do. So it's like, oh, must leave something. Okay, so Penang Hill. So this is a must stop. Go and take a photo of the postcard. Okay, so now I share with you our moments of pause, area by area. You arrive, so that's a strategy. You arrive, you slow down, and you enter. So in a design language, we call this like a compression. We could have suggested to break down all the walls and open gallery. You enter, you see everything. You want to go see Mona Lisa, you enter the Louvre. Wow, there's a big, but we didn't. So we kept the corridor deliberately small, sense of compression. You arrive and then you orientate. So if you arrive before and you walk a little bit too fast, next time you visit, you slow down, because there were a lot of numbers. facts, years of evolution that we put, and that's what we call a time tunnel. So it's strategy-wise, it's a sense of orientation. First thing masuk, biodiversity, and that's where all the facts are mapped out. And if you could look at the Google reviews, I thought recently I went to check, bagus ah. But nobody praised the architecture. They say the story all very good. I was like, okay, good lah, good. So that's credit to PSC because we didn't do anything, the building, we just give grandma a good facelift, and all the 4.6, 4.7 star Google review all say, wow, this the story all good. I say, okay, never mind, it's okay. It's still good achievement. So this is heritage. Now, we understand that bungalows in Penang Hill is a privilege. Means not any ordinary people like us, for our young audience. You can't just go up there and buy a house. Money cannot buy. I call it money cannot buy a house, not for sale one, because it's passed down by family to family. It's in a way is a privilege. So we get to enjoy that privilege in 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐞𝐫, and that's because of that vision to open this to the public. So naturally, we must have a curation on what we call bungalows of the Penang Hill. So go take a look again, and now you will appreciate the bungalows differently. But it was mapped out in 1900, 1800, and literally the whole history of Penang Hill is really jammed into this small 400 square meter of visitor gallery. Okay, and then after knowing about bungalows, we bring you into the belly, because this is the semi-sunken part of the house, and this belly reveals on the train, stories of the train, and this is also won't be possible without PSC team. Dato went down. You can see the whole process mapped out to search and find, dig the storeroom. And our part is to choreograph, make it look like an interesting art of work. So it's an amazing feat of how the curation is so dense, packed into a grandma's old house. And this is the vista. Original frame is as it is, with full respect. We kowtow say, okay, we won't change you, we keep the same, but we frame the view. So if you go to 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐞𝐫 at this gallery, these panels are supposed to be flipped because there are the stories that we wanted everyone to flip and tell. So we can't do much of an interior design or all that, so we thought we pump up on the experience, subtle things to do, and that's how exhibition designer can influence the experience. And then I collect a few of the current photos. Wow, I was like, wow, this is more than 100. So our target 10 to 100. This is amazing outcome, I think. And the story about the ceiling was there's not enough, there's so much stories to tell, not enough surface in the gallery wall. We say we use the ceiling lah, ceiling pun pakai lah. So yeah, we keep you very busy. So I think I read the Google reviews, some stay up to 3 hours because you have to read everything. You have to read it because we stretch the value lah, every inch. But we just have a lot of work to do then. Okay, so even this carefully curated, every word, fine-tuned, check and check. So the number of people involved is amazing. So what we do is when you have gone through that storyline, then you exit at this magnificent landscape. So again, the review said the view was fantastic. Nobody said the building fantastic. I said tak apa. As long as the building was the platform to bring you to the journey, and then you explode into the view, I think the job of our choreography is done, because you end with a climax. And what better than nature itself? Not the building, right? But the building is just a vehicle. Grandma is the conduit. So we are really happy that the building welcomes visitors from all age. Train enthusiasts will love the gallery. So before and after, and again, a very humble transformation, full of respect. And I think Grandma is dignified, ready for another energized. Next year is 90 years old, Datuk. 𝐂𝐝𝐴GE𝐿𝐴 is 90. Madam 𝐂𝐝𝐴GE�‌�L𝐴 is 90. My buildings are grandmother, but if you see buildings as grandfather, it's also okay. Okay, I have affection with old building sites. Okay, Grandma is now revived, and happy to follow that you have a platinum on phase 4. I think when the historic tool just came out, we're happy that Dato' Chia said, okay, let's try, and became the first to get certified. And the 𝐤𝐝𝐴GE�‌�L𝐴 story that I serve today demonstrate 3 P, because it's Penang Hill, focus on Penang Hill. I say, okay, P. I was quite excited when linkage just now got 3R, right? I was like, oh yes, I got other kawan na. So I'm not the only one with the alphabet names. So P for people, and 𝐤𝐝𝐴GE�‌�L𝐴 is really for the people of Penang to come up to Penang Hill, have a stop, learn everything about 𝐤𝐝𝐴GE�‌�L𝐴. And then it's for the place, empathy for place. So that's how I told Alan today, my talk, I think, will be empathy in 𝐤𝐝𝐴GE�‌�L𝐴. It just came this morning. And empathy for place sums up the whole 𝐤𝐝𝐴GE�‌�L𝐴 transformation, because it's a lot of place, respect, control, heal, and the building itself. And then lastly, of course, empathy for planet. I believe that's what PAC is pushing for, sustainably in every development, in every building transformation. I show this to my students and also architecture talks, that retaining buildings is one way we show love for the planet. Reduce demolition. You build less, okay? You recycle more. You reuse material, and that's how we score in the 𝐤𝐝𝐴GE�‌�L𝐴 transformation. We reuse the windows, we reuse the floor, and design for longer life. So 𝐤𝐝𝐴GE�‌�L𝐴 now has another 90 years to go, and that is actually empathy for planet. Without us realizing, if we do this, that's how we can achieve the 2030. Yeah? Now it's already 2026, 4 more years to go for that call of action. And yeah, if I can have everyone show me some power. So this is the 4th P. Come boy, show auntie. Power, power. Because he also showed me, because it's the girl say, or he said, well, I can also be power. So that's how many P, people, place, planet, power, and Penang Hill. Okay, so that's my sweet dessert for the ending. Thank you very much.
Thank you, PU. Perfect timing. Okay, so we won't go in trouble with Kim for going over time. Okay. So we're gonna do a quick. I'm gonna ask the panel a general question for them to all answer. Before we move on to the Q&A, we have 15 minutes, so I think, give or take, maybe 5 plus minus 5. All right. So I'd like to kick off our discussion by asking all of you. I mean, it's very clear to us that you're all passionate, dedicated, and have truly, you and your teams, and of course under the leadership of Dato' and PHC, put your time, effort, and dedication into conserving and preserving Penang Hill in various ways. So what would you consider for each of you as your greatest achievement to date, which you're most proud of, and also what your greatest challenge was in each of your respective fields and projects, in the case of Safwan and BU? Start with you, Lingish.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. From my experience with PHC, I think during the landslide and the recovery plan that we embark on, and how we recovered within that 60 days, open up the hill back to the visitors, or rather say the community up here waiting for the opening moment of the hill back. I think it's a once in a lifetime experience I gained from here, besides working on other strategic projects.
definitely a experience that all of us who went through it will never forget. I remember standing there with looking up at the viaduct landslide with together with Dato and the mayor at the time, YB, Mr. Yu. It was mind-boggling. Sorry, Shah. Yeah.
Right, all right. Okay. Actually, since 2012, been Penang Hill, almost 14, 15 years with Penang Hill. I work with actually 3 or 4 manager, GM. Hopefully 6 GM. Sorry. Hopefully this Datuk Choi is the last one. We keep remain on Penang Hill forever. Because when you keep changing the GM, if also we need to start from the bottom back. Because with the new management, with new idea, everything. But with Datuk Choi, we're very proud to work with him because it's very challenging. It's not about the construction. It's all about the Penang Hill, actually. All very challenging. So thank you, Datuk Choi, for being Penang Hill.
Sorry, the question again is the challenges, right?
What was the
I was so taken by.
No. The first part of the question was, what do you consider your greatest achievement to
Right,
date
achievement.
on all the projects that you've worked on since 2017, the last 10 years?
Right.
You can bring it all the way back. And what do you consider to be your greatest challenge?
It's not project specific, right?
Not necessarily, no. Maybe for BU, because hers is very specific on Edgecliff, but for yourself, because you have been involved in the Hill now
Right.
for well over about 10 years, right? A decade. So
I think from there probably there are several, I would say, challenges. First of all, as I've mentioned just now, working on Penang Hill is such a unique experience, and at the same time, is very challenging. I would say that when we look at the portfolio that we have as a firm, and linking it back to the context of Penang Hill, one of the most challenges that we face is during the design stage, understanding the expectations, and also being able to curate and provide a solution that actually would tick all the boxes. So we always worry that the design would not be able to sometimes trying to respect to give respect to Penang Hill as it deserve. But so far I would say for the past 10 years we've been be very, I would say, glad that we are guided by also, of course, Penang Hill Corporation, that we can deliver the works, without having to sacrifice the main conservation part of the hill. So there's always, although I would say, very good interaction with PHC where we understand each other that there are certain sort of rules that we cannot break, or there are certain boundaries that we cannot go over as far as developing. Because as I mentioned just now, you could easily design like things that you have seen in Hong Kong, for example, right? If you go to the peak, you can see the whole mall up there, right? So we understand that for Penang Hill it's different, right? We understand that the design has to be more sensitive. So there's always that challenge for us to be able to do that. The other bit of it is the construction, I would say. I think it's quite straightforward as far as the challenges on constraint of construction.
So would you say that the Penang Hill Station is something that you're most proud of in the last 10 years?
To date, yes.
To date, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. More to come. Much more to come.
Yeah, I would say that due to the again context, but of course the operational needs is basically the gateway, right? This is the first thing that you see, and if it fails, basically people won't go to Penang Hill at all. All right, so that was the pressure on it, right?
I think personally that one of the greatest achievements of the entire team and now all involved is continuing to operate the funicular without fail 365 days a year.
Yeah,
You know, whilst you're doing all this major reimagination and re-engineering, you know, of the space, right? It's no small feat. I mean, this is something to be very proud of.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The construction itself.
Yes,
There
yes.
were a lot
Correct.
of sort of sectional closure and sectional opening of this several parts of the construction, so that we allow it to perform as a live station. You know, so that's very tricky as from safety point of view, and that's the most, you know, utmost. Yeah.
BU?
Okay, challenges, right? So I spoke about working with old buildings, and when we have old buildings, because I'm not doctor, but I'm the building doctor, right? And usually in our projects, other projects working with old buildings, I write a long list of what to add. We can add an annex. You can add a new component to boost. For the younger generation, it's like Madonna, you know, having a song with Sabrina Carpenter. You know, superstar add with current star. That is an annex that we can revive. But first time I write a rule book for HQ where it doesn't involve anything new. It's all restoring. So that's really a challenge, but how do we turn around? So to see it complete and, you know, getting 4.8, almost 5-star reviews, I think, okay, that's
Wonderful.
a good
Wonderful.
achievement.
So just another specific question for you, since you still have the mic. How did designing Edgecliff transform the way you think and practice as an architect?
Okay. And patience. It taught me patience because the project went through COVID, was during COVID. We worked through Zoom, and then even when it resumed, when we started work, it was through a special permit. You know, only selected workers of the contractor can go up. So this is, to me, whenever I moved on from HCliff, any other new problems in project, I remind myself is patience, because, and the second is good things takes time. Great things, you know, take really long time to complete. And we survived COVID and complete in 2022. So yeah, patience.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Indeed. A virtue that we all need to practice more of. I think we have 5 minutes left, and we have time for maybe one or two questions from the floor. If does anyone have any questions for our panelists, or even Dato, who's here today with us? Letitia? Don't forget, it's your turn next year about to speak on Astaka. No questions? Elin? Yeah, okay.
Okay, maybe this question is for the Penang Hill team itself, because I think all of us have been looking forward to the opening of the station, the lower station, upper station, and after that, the cable car. What are the aspirations after this in terms of operations, right? With the cable car coming in, what is the I think I'm looking at Lingesh. What is the foreseeable operation? You know, how are you getting ready for that?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for attending. I get a message. It's very challenging to work with the GM. Past 10 years. The every project that we've been embarked on, if you look at it, you know, the sharings, and it's all on the existing footprint. Safwan made it very clear that we don't do projects like the Hong Kong, the big high-rise buildings. If you reach a peak, if you notice, there's no grass. The whole flat areas are nearly half concrete. Well, we don't do that. So we maintain the landscape. It's a very conscious effort. That also poses a lot of engineering challenges. Every project that we embark on, we try to solve problems. I take the approach of before we even engage a consultant, we already have our own ideas what we want. Many internal meetings. I take the approach of house of quality approach. House of quality means you put a requirement, and then what problem are we solving, what new features, and the philosophy of simple things like strengthening, modernizing our infrastructure to prepare for the next, century, for example. So, hence the projects on you embarking on strengthening the structures, the wire structures, because it's 103 years old. So we had to invest in the money. So that leads to sometimes we have to periodically increase our fares gradually so that we are able to collect some, and reinvest back. So all the collections is never go to fat bonuses for anybody. I don't take bonus. No. So making sure that everything plow back to the hill, whether it's on the slopes. I just take a little bit of it, a time to just describe. Then I'll answer your question too. So when I came on board in 2017, when I spent many weekends on my own, trying to figure out what should I do, with all these things, with all the complaints, right? No, not much good things about Penang Hill. Primarily, the hill is such wonderful place, it's long history, and what should I do? Went to nearly every spot. I hike, I walk around. Every hiking opportunity, every hiking is a work trip for me. So much so that my friends and family, they don't want to hike with me because supposedly a short hike can become a much longer hike, because I would veer off track and and then observe things and things like that. So we decided to take the approach and say we need to strengthen, modernize infrastructures, including the food court. My personal prediction, because of we having experience of 2017 and seeing the buildings and leakings and rustings and and then we are unable to repair, solving problems permanently. So we decided to make a proposal to tear it down painfully. It's because it's a fairly new building. It's only less than 10 years. Less than 10 years. You don't build buildings, spend several millions, and then you just tear it down just like that. But we have to do it because of it is on a slope. We don't have any incidents and things like that. So we decided to spend a lot of money actually to strengthen. If you look at the new food court at this moment, you take a peek. Most of the investment is going down to strengthening the slope, because having experienced what we experienced in 2017, which we take the 3R approach. I coined the word called restoration, rehabilitations, and rebuilding. So we take that approach, and as Safwan mentions, every project we set a constraint on ourselves, including the cable car. The cable car, that video is very important because it actually inevitably increased cost. Just a logistic alone, and it's an engineering thinking, because the driver, we have to change drivers. They were so afraid because if from a drone you don't feel the steep angle, but actually when you drive up, it's actually pretty steep, very steep. If you don't have any experience, bear in mind that the cranes, then the trucks, how many of them are automatic gear? These are all manual gears. That you must be a very skillful driver, changing the gears, with that truck with heavy load. If you are not careful, the crane, will retreat instead of moving forward. So the timing of it, and things like, it took them many practices, few incidents, and unforeseen incident, unfortunately. So that whole journey to take it up take more than 2 days. They have to rest a few hours because you run in a low gear, and they'll rest, let the engine cool down overnight. The next day, continue. And the front two plane was more like a protection. In case the back one, as it's starting to retreat, the two guys' job is to pull the guy up, So it was a kind of, So it's very pretty interesting. We spent many days and weeks planning and thinking, how do we pull the thing up? this is added into the constructions of a cable car. You look at cable car, there's no opening a new path. If you were to do that, we'll cut trees. So hence, we can pose a lot of engineering. It's not just logistics; it's engineering challenges. In fact, and this is just part one. There will be a how we do bring the towers along the the jeep track. We deliberately design the alignment, and I have a hand in making that decisions. That causing corporate hardship to people. But I like throwing challenges to the team, and having personally, we take all the projects. We take an academic approach, in the sense that carefully think through planning before we execute. So throwing challenges is realign the constructions, the alignment of towers as close as to the jeep track as possible, versus the old design, which is further away from the youth park, just nearly impossible without cutting many trees, opening up a path to be able to access. So it by itself is a story to tell. So we'll leave it to the next chapter, probably the next after the completion we'll share. Penang Hill Festival is a platform for us to share the experience, allow giving my younger colleagues the opportunity to do presentations. So I force them to do presentations, give them exposure. So the projects we're doing are all in preparation for the cable car projects. So we create better facilities, more places for them to sit around. We don't add theme parks because we feel that all the hills around the world, with the exception of some in Southeast Asia, which I personally don't like, is too commercialized. Clearing of two beds. I was in Phan Xipang. Sorry, Vietnamese here. I don't feel I like with too many artificial buildings are necessity, but they clear up the top of the hill and build monuments and all this stuff. So what we did is we look at all the existing building, we just rebuild them, strengthening, learning from the West. Some good things that we learn from the West. The bad things we just don't learn. I spend time work in California, which I spend a lot of times on the mountains. I still do on my yearly trip back to the U.S. Rocky Mountains, the buildings, Yosemite parks. After 4 decades, 40 years later, the same buildings, no change. If you go up the Alpines, the top, the Alpines, right? So same buildings, even though made of timber, they last nearly forever. So the goal that I set for guys is that this building is going to be, at least 50 years for the food court. The railway track, right? With the structures, we're going to strengthen them for the next centuries. It will last for another 100 years. And when come close to another 100 years, we make it another 100 years. That is the kind of a mindset I'm driving the team. So we are preparing the facilities. The cable car, I think we said beside creating another iconic tourist attraction, allowing visitors to appreciate nature better from the aerial view. Many UNESCO heritage sites, geoparks, and biosphere reserve have cable cars. It really allows us to appreciate the nature a lot more. A research paper has done that because they done survey, they publish papers, and right. So now we have to take care of the construction methods. So that allowed the circulations of the traffic better. We've studied that. We actually track. Some of you come here. We know. We don't track specifically people, but because of the ticket scanning, the in and out, we actually have been not monitoring, but we look at analyze how much time they really spend on the hill. 90% of the tourists, visitors are just spend about 2 hours. They walk around, and then they'll have a meal here, extend it to 3 hours. So all normally they just want to enjoy the cool air, scenery, relax, calm down and so on. So I think we are looking at creating all more rest areas, relax, have a kind of a food, and enjoying fellowship with the friends and things like things like that. So that cable car allowed the better circulation and also divert the traffic, which I call traffic load balancing. Aitam is too crowded, too jam packed. We didn't have good planning on this side, where we allowed even high rise apartments and making a high dense residential area surrounding the station, which wasn't a really good idea for most places. So we'll divert some traffic, and then that also hopefully that will reduce in contributing to reducing the carbon emission. Because if you were to drive from Batu Ferringhi and all the way to Aitam and then all the way back, so by having that circulations, that will slow down the traffic. Inevitably, the concern will be bringing more traffic jam to the Botanic Gardens, on the Golib Road areas. Also, so we added multi-story car park, which never been before. We will, hopefully in the next year, you will see that Botanic Garden will be transformed. We're taking this opportunity, the cable car, to transform the Botanic Garden, to block all public vehicles. We are already doing it. We are, when the first few months we implemented the blocking, public were complaining. People used to parking the cars left and right, all the way in. So the future of Botanic Garden, there will be a main entrance, grand entrance, Penang Botanic Garden, which we're going to be very proud of it. And since 1884, there will be a boom gate blocking all public traffic with a multi-story car park. Then public during the weekends, only authorized vehicles will be allowed. Authorized vehicles means Botanic Garden agents department, Hill residents, PBAs, and so on. They're allowed to go for the work. But during weekends, the traffic will be significantly lower, and people can just walk on the boulevard all the way in. And then we provide, there will be a buggy services for those who do not. It's only about 450 meters actually, so it's nice walk, but a good weather, early morning walk. So it allows better circulation. People don't have to queue 2 hours from lower station, go up, and then they'll wait 2 hours, another 2 hours to come down. So they have options to go down earlier, and so on. So all these things will besides bringing economic benefits to the state, and to the hill too, right? So we need income actually to sustain a hill like this. One big question is that, are the more visitors, are they going to impact biodiversity? And the answer is minimum. Majority of the visitors, they just stick to the areas, main areas. Very few that actually, walk into the dense forestry and do anything stupid. So if anything, I'm more afraid of hikers, for going into the areas. If you had a chance to walk to some of the trail, we PHC actually put in bollards, wooden bollards to block, because there have been before that, there have been mountain bikings and so on, that cycling into opening new path indiscriminately. So we create awareness. Now I think you see almost zero. They will only cycle on restricted area. We blocked Moniot Trail, which we are now applying, to be recognized as a heritage trail, 1825, a Moniot Trail. So we should protect that. We also apply the funicular railway as an heritage, so that in the future, in the events that hopefully the funicular service will continue on, right? So people will recognize, and then people will not think about doing any further developments. Things like just maintain as is. Okay, long answer to your short.
Thank you, Dato. And thank you all again. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you for all of you for your time, for your precious time, and for being here with us. Obviously, a lot of work's been done, and there's a lot more work to do. And I think that we have all the right people with their hearts in the right place, doing it, day in, day out. It's really a 365. Dato will be the first to tell you. 365 job. Thank you again. Thank you.